Howdy folks, Farmer Luke here saying welcome back, which this week is going to be a very different microgreen than we've grown before, and that's sunflower. It's not one that's very similar to the others, and it is one that will need to pre-soak as well. So grab all your usual supplies, your drip tray, your slotted tray and your hemp, and get it all stretched out. And then what you want to do is go grab your sunflower seeds in the kit, which is this little packet here. Now the sunflower seeds are the other seed type that we need to soak. So just like we had to soak the peas earlier on in the course, we also need to soak the sunflower seeds because they do have quite a hard shell. And similar to the pea seeds as well, that shell will be too tough for the seeds to germinate just sitting on the hemp mat. So with the sunflower seeds, we need to soak them in water overnight, at least 6 to 8 hours, preferably overnight. So you've done that before with the peas. It's fairly simple. You just measure out the correct amount, put them in a bowl and cover them with water, and cover them a bit above where the seeds go up to, because they will start to absorb that water during the night. So you want to give a good couple of inches of water above the height of the seeds. Now with the sunflower seeds, they are a little bit bigger, so they're a bit trickier to measure volume wise. So the measurement I recommend for this is about 21 grams for a full size tray. Now you can divide that down if you're going to do a half tray or one of the little mini trays for this week. So 21 grams and approximately 45 mils. Now I got that measurement by getting a little tablespoon measurer, and there's about 3 of them. But keep in mind, because the seeds aren't tightly packed like the smaller seeds, like the broccoli and the kale, things like that, the volume can vary a little bit with each scoop. So I did try to pack them in as much as possible and got about 45 mils or 3 tablespoons. But 21 grams is kind of the better measurement if you do have a set of little accurate scales handy. Once you've soaked them, you just want to drain them, so put them in a sieve and drain off that excess water. And the seeding method will be a little bit different this time. Because they are soaked, you'll see here they're sort of all clumped together there. So they don't really do that nice sort of spread as you shake them out like with the other seeds. So with the sunflower seeds, you need to seed them by hand. So make sure you've washed your hands, just warm soapy water is fine, just to make sure there's no nasties on there. And you just want to grab the seeds and start to sort of pull them out and sprinkle them over, I guess. Again, they are quite clumpy, these ones, because they are wet. We don't recommend that you dry them out before seeding, because we do want them to stay moist. So it's just one of the things you got to get used to. Another way you can just dump the whole bunch of seeds onto the tray. This is sort of what we do when we batch seed these, and we'll do like 10 trays at once. We'll measure out like a similar amount per tray and just put a big clump in the middle and then spread it out from there. So that's what I'm going to do for this one today. Just get all the seeds out of the cup, and then you sort of know what you're working with, and you can start to spread them out. So you'll see here in the close-up, they're sort of just all dumped in the middle there, and I'm just going to go ahead and spread them out. Similar like sort of technique and spread that you're looking for the other seeds as well. You don't want any large clumps, you don't want any large areas that are unseeded, so in the corners and the sides especially. Just sort of all those same principles that you've learned over the last few weeks still apply, but just with the pre-soak it does change the way that we seed them. And the sunflower microgreens are quite large as well, so with the other ones the stems are very small, where the sunflower microgreens has quite a thick stem. So these will look a little bit sparser when seeding, and that's okay. We've sort of accounted for that, because we really don't want these ones too densely seeded, because the actual finished microgreen is quite a lot thicker and denser than the other microgreens that you've been growing up until this point. Much more similar in size to the pea shoots. So that's why there will appear to be less seed on this one, but the seeds are bigger and the plant sort of grows bigger, so we want a little bit of extra space as well. So I'm just going to pop all these out to the edges and into the middle. I'm pretty happy with that. The sunflower microgreens as well will kind of push each other out of the way because they are a little bit bigger. So as long as you don't have any large clumps, you should be fine. They'll sort of figure themselves out. So we'll have a look here on the close-up. It's a pretty decent spread. I could probably go to the edges a little bit more, which I might do sort of after the video. But I'm pretty happy with that. So once you've got the soaked seeds spread out, you just want to give them a little spritz with your spray bottle like normal. So go ahead over that. Now it's important to remember those measurements I gave you for weighing out the seeds, that's the pre-soak level. I know last time with the peas there was a little bit of confusion around that. So make sure the seeds are dry and you're measuring out that 21 grams. And then once you've got the right amount for a full tray, you can go ahead and soak them overnight. And that's pretty much it again. So just give them a nice spritz. You'll see, you should basically, with these seeds and the hard shell, they should have a nice little glisten over them. So make sure you spray them to the point where they've got a little bit of a glisten, and that way you know they're soaked well through. Again, put a little lid over the top, so a full-size drip tray. You should have some of them spare now with some of the previous microgreens you would have already harvested. And also put a tray underneath just to catch any water that will start to sort of soak through as we continue to spritz these and eventually start to bottom water them. One thing with sunflower seeds is as they germinate, the actual seed itself will sort of come along for the ride, if you will. So that's the little black seed there. So you'll see the little green shoots, and then the little broken like husk of the seed will live on top of the leaf, and actually that's where that's meant to pop off. So in sort of outdoors in nature, normally the wind and the weather would sort of blow those little husks off. Obviously indoors the environment's a lot more controlled, so you may find some better results if you do go along and just kind of brush the top of the sunflower shoots as they've started to germinate. So we're talking sort of around about like kind of 7-day mark or so, and just go along the top and just lightly brush them. And that should help some of the husks of the seeds fall off. And if there's any really stubborn ones, you can just go along and kind of pick them off. I'll try to show you what that looks like once these have germinated, and we can look in a bit more detail. Doing that will do two things. One, it will help the leaf underneath kind of expand and grow a little bit bigger. And also when it comes to harvest time, you won't have to worry about getting any of those shell husks into the food that you're preparing, because they are, they're not harmful, they're just taste a bit woody and not very nice. So it is a good idea if you can get them off early during the growing phase. When they're all ready to harvest, it's quick and easy just to cut them down, put them into your salad or your dish or whatever you're doing with them. Now with the sunflower, it's quite a different taste. I like to describe it as like an earthy or kind of like a nutty taste. So very different to the sort of the peppery and the really fresh flavors that you get from the other types of microgreens. This is yeah, it's really interesting, and it's quite popular when we've been growing them in the farm walls. They're fairly recognizable as well, so people see, oh, that's a sunflower. And these are normal sunflowers. If you put one of these in the ground at the right time of year, they would spring up and become a big giant sunflower. So if you want to keep a few aside to plant into your garden, if you've got that space, feel free to do that. But as a microgreen, they're really great. They're nice and tender, and they've got like good volume, so you can really bulk out a salad or whatever dish that you're making. And just a few things to get mindful of is just flicking that little husk off the microgreen as it grows, pretty much. But other than that, it's all pretty much the same. So keep it covered, keep it moist. This one will take a little bit longer to germinate, similar to the peas. So you're going to be looking at germination, like a good level of germination, generally more sort of 5 to 7 days with the sunflowers, and then sort of 2 full weeks is what you're looking at until they're even close to harvest. But they will continue to grow as well, so you can kind of get to that 3-week mark with the sunflower microgreens and continue to sort of harvest up until that point. So this is a really fun one. It is a lot different to the microgreens we've seen previously, but hopefully you got through the soaking okay and you remembered to do all the steps correctly, and we should have some successful sunflower microgreens in a couple of weeks. So good luck with all of that. Until then, this is Farm Luke saying happy growing, and we'll see you on the farm next time.